I'm Kristen.
Sitting in my old Dodge Ram with the engine purring softly, the clock on the dashboard reads 9 p.m. I'm hidden in the shadows near the Thompson estate. Through the windshield, I can see my parents, Richard and Victoria, on the balcony. Their champagne glasses sparkle in the light, and their laughter drifts across the manicured lawn where I used to work for free. The phone screen in my hand glows with the words Project Cedarwood. Execute eviction. My fingers tighten around the steering wheel until my knuckles turn white. The truck smells of fertilizer and gasoline, and there's mud on the floor mats. My work boots leave prints on the pedals. I whisper to the windshield, "I was going to save you, but then I heard what you said." 12 hours earlier, I was trimming a cherry tree in my greenhouse when Victoria called. Her voice was as sharp as my pruning shears. "Kristen, I need you to bring that beautiful elm bonsai you've been cultivating. There's an important event tonight at the Thompson Art Gallery, and we're expecting some big-time investors. You owe us this after all we've done for you." I looked at the bonsai. It was a masterpiece, 5 years in the making, worth $10,000. It needed specific conditions to thrive. "It's not really suitable as a centerpiece," I said. But her voice hardened. "Don't be difficult. We're short on cash right now, and we need to impress the Harringtons. Bring it by 6 o'clock. I should have said no. I'm the owner of a successful landscaping business that made a good profit last year. But I remembered the past. When I was young, I gave up a chance at a prestigious horticulture program so my brother, Ethan, could study abroad. Richard had patted me on the back and said, "Family first." Ethan got his degree, and I was left behind. Maybe this time, if I brought the bonsai, they'd finally see me as more than just the helper. So, I wrapped the bonsai carefully and loaded it into the truck. When I arrived at the estate through the service entrance at 6:15, Ethan was there, leaning against the wall in his expensive suit. He kicked the dirt off my tire and said, "Stay out of the way. The adults are handling business." I bit my tongue and started unloading the heavy bonsai alone while he watched with his hands in his pockets. As I carried the bonsai up the steps, Victoria appeared at the service door. "You're late, and you could have dressed better," she said. I looked at my work clothes and replied, "I'm delivering a tree, not going to a party." She frowned, but I didn't back down. Richard appeared behind her. He looked straight past me at the bonsai and said, "This will do. The Harringtons like this kind of thing." No thanks, no recognition for the valuable gift I'd brought. Ethan followed us in and sneered, "At least she's good for something." At 6:45, as I was arranging the bonsai on the main hall table, I heard them in the private viewing room. The door was slightly ajar, and they were testing the sound system for the presentation. I heard Ethan's voice first. "The visuals are perfect. They'll tell the story we need." Curiosity got the better of me, and I moved closer. Through the crack, I saw the projection screen. First, there was a picture of Ethan receiving an award for his landscape architecture project. Then my photo appeared. I was covered in mud, smiling widely as I worked on a client's garden. Richard's voice boomed, "This is why we don't let family members take the easy way out. It shows we have standards." Ethan laughed and said, "Should we mention she charges for this kind of dirty work?" They were using me as a cautionary tale to impress the investors. That was the moment I realized they'd never see me as an equal. I calmly picked up the bonsai and walked out. A young caterer asked if everything was okay, and I simply said the centerpiece wouldn't work. Back at my greenhouse, my employees, Tom and Lisa, noticed something was wrong. Tom, an old-timer who's been with me since the start, came over with a concerned look. Lisa brought me a bottle of water. I told them what had happened, and Tom knelt down to clean the mud off my boots.
My lawyer, Mark, arrived.
He explained that 6 months ago, I'd bought the Thompson estate's debt through a shell company he'd set up. I was their landlord, and they owed $150,000 in back rent. Victoria called, demanding to know where the tree was. I told her I'd taken it back. She exploded with insults, saying I'd ruined everything. I decided I wouldn't let them get away with it. I asked Mark to arrange for a process server to deliver an eviction notice during the keynote presentation. Now, at 9:20, I walked into the Thompson Art Gallery for the first time through the main entrance. I was wearing a simple black dress Lisa had found, but my work boots were still visible beneath the hem. Victoria spotted me first. Her face contorted with rage. "How dare you show up?"
she hissed.
I stood my ground and said, "I'm a Thompson. This is a Thompson event." Ethan and Richard saw me and quickly made a silent plan. Ethan stepped up to the microphone and started the slideshow. First his award-winning photo, then mine. The room filled with uncomfortable laughter as he said, "Some build great things, while others just dig in the dirt." I kept my head down, waiting for the right moment. At 9:43, I saw Mark near the entrance. I gave him a small nod, and he stepped aside. A man in a dark suit entered and walked purposefully towards the stage. Richard was in the middle of his presentation when the process server reached the stage. Richard was furious, shouting at the man to leave. But the server calmly said, "I'm representing Cedarwood Holdings. You're being served with an eviction notice for $150,000 in unpaid rent." The room went silent. The Harringtons and other investors started to leave. Richard's face turned pale, and he stammered that it was a mistake. I walked towards the stage. The crowd parted for me. When I reached the base of the stage, I looked into Richard's eyes. I didn't say a word, just let him see the person he'd never really known. Then I turned and walked out, saying, "The lease was clear. I'm not your daughter right now. I'm your landlord." The next morning, Victoria showed up at my greenhouse. She looked a mess, wearing flats instead of her usual high heels. She begged to talk, saying we were family. I handed her a business card for bankruptcy attorney and told her the truth. Family doesn't humiliate family. I'm your landlord, and you're trespassing. She left without another word. 3 months later, I'm standing on the balcony of my new office, watching workers take down the Thompson Art Gallery sign. There's no satisfaction or bitterness, just the warm sun on my shoulders and the knowledge that I've built something of my own. The elm bonsai sits in my office, bathed in sunlight, finally in a place where it's truly appreciated. My business is booming, and I've surrounded myself with people who value me. I've reclaimed my life, and I'm ready for whatever comes next.